generations. And now, the power of two restores the one.
We got a bidet! Hey everybody, and welcome back for another video. Today it is pretty exciting. We get to finally start talking about some more Star Wars content as far as new shows. Now we have the Skeleton Crew. We got the first two episodes this week, so we got kind of a good idea of at least what we're getting ourselves into. I think there's definitely a lot of questions after the first two episodes, but we're here to talk about the show, give our thoughts, and then just kind of see, where things go. So, like I said, we got two episodes. The first one, I think, was around 45 minutes-ish without the credits. And then the second one was somewhere around 25 minutes. The first episode, I would say, definitely lays down the groundwork of introducing the majority of the characters. And then the second episode kind of gets the plot moving a little bit. As far as the first episode, what I think is significantly important is we kick off the show. I actually love the opening. There's like a ship going, but it's kind of almost a different version of how A New Hope started because like whenever you hear somebody that saw the original Star Wars in theaters, they always talk about the jaw-dropping beginning where we see the ship, go overhead. And here, we see a ship come into the screen, and then we see a big shadow go over it. And then we see essentially these big grappling thing. I don't know what you'd call them, but they're these devices so that the ships can board, like pirates. And so we see this boarding sequence. We see a scuffle between the pirates and whoever they're boarding. We don't really know at this point. And what we find out is that the leader is, trying to steal a bunch of money. And even though the people tell this guy, hey, there's no money here, well, there's literally like $1 in the the compartment. And this is what kind of sets things into motion for the pirates because when they boarded and they had this big fight, well, they lost men. People were killed, even women if they were part of the group. I'm pretty sure they said men, though, that they lost. And I think the leader, based on what we see later on, the leader, I think, is, ejected from the ship, as they would say, from among us, just because he's no longer the guy in charge. Did you guys like the opening? Does that kind of set the tone for you a little bit?
Yeah, I liked the opening a lot. What you said with like the ship coming overhead. There's a lot of scenes from the Clone Wars animated to where they'll show a giant ship like that to show like perspective. Um, just showing like the aggressors basically. And yeah, just like you said, they have these like octopus tentacle spears that just like shoot right into the ship and just create these like boarding tubes. It's actually a very cool sequence. Um, I like watched it a couple times and paused it, and it was a very cool sequence. But yeah, the pirates lost a lot of pirates for one measly credit, so it was mutiny.
Yeah, kicking him off the crew. What'd you
Hmm.
think, Sarah?
So I don't, oh, he didn't get injected in space. I want to say the captain might be the pirate that we see in the brig at the end of episode two, but I'm not 100% sure.
The captain is the. Wait, say that again? Who you
So
think?
the guy in the prison cell with the
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
kids, surely that's just the captain that
Was
is
supposed
that
to be
surely
ejected
that's
from
Captain
space.
Silva, just like without the helmet.
Right. I see what you're saying
They
now. I
talk the same. It
I
has
thought
to
I
be him.
thought I heard you say bridge, and I was like,
I said the brig. I just
Oh,
maybe didn't enunciate very well.
gotcha. Yeah, I think you're probably right on that. That's going to end up being the guy, and then he'll have this little group of children to help him get back at the old crew. What'd you think, Sarah?
I'm confused by who you think he is. I understand you're talking about the guy in the jail cell, but who from the beginning do you think he is?
The leader that
The
the
captain, the pirate captain,
he had the helmet on.
Oh,
the one
okay.
that they found the one measly credit and then they turned on him, the
Right.
wolf, and
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought it was a fun intro. I'm not completely sold on the costume for the Wolfman. I I don't know what it is.
ooh.
I know Jeremy really likes them. To me, it just looks like a Halloween mask that my brother wore when we were kids. I I know it sounds horrible to say, but just I don't know. I'm just not buying it as being like an actual wolf man.
Now
yeah,
to
I was like
interject.
50-50 on the shots of the wolf guy. Some of them looked pretty good, like the action scenes,
Maybe
and
it's
then
maybe it's that he doesn't talk a whole lot, so you don't see his mouth move, so it just kind of looks like structured, like he just stands there. Which I'm not saying he needs more dialogue. I'm just saying
we need
it's making
more
it harder to
like
believe that he's a real
snarling.
creature.
So one of the
Yes.
things that I've heard about, because there's been some talk about that kind of a thing on the internet, and supposedly in the original cut of A New Hope, there was a werewolf-looking creature in the cantina that kind of had like a cheap Halloween mask look to him. And then when Lucas released the special editions, he replaced that character because he didn't like how cheap he looked. And so people are wondering if this is kind of a callback to the original, and maybe that's why he kind of looks like that. But all I have to say is if I see that figure, like a Black Series figure at the store, I'll probably gobble it up.
Speaking of callbacks, we got to see a little scene from the Star Wars Holiday Special. I thought that was a fun little
Yes, I
Easter egg.
immediately said 10 out of 10 as soon as I saw
Did you catch it,
it.
Austin?
I saw it and I was like, where have I seen this
And
before?
then he had PTSD of being at our house watching the holiday special.
I was like, there's no way it was in that Wookiee thing, right? And then sure enough, I watched a YouTube video later and they're like, oh yeah, this is from that holiday special. I was like, oh, okay.
Jeremy
Yeah.
was just chomping at the bit, waiting for them to play Jefferson Starship.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's going to pop up at some point.
Uh, but yeah, I thought it was a fun intro. At some point in our conversations today, either now or later, once we dive into the episodes and stuff, I took a look at what the kids, like the actors for the kid characters, are either known for, or if they were new or fresh. And so I have a little bit of a background to share on them.
Well, I
So.
will say for like the rest of episode one, it's majority just getting to know these characters, so that's perfect.
Okay. Well, our main guy, Wim, he and his dad, Wendell, right? So, Wim goes to school. He's got a bunch of friends at school. Some he's making friends with during this episode. Wim, the only thing that I noticed from his history that I recognized personally was that he voiced Antonio in Encanto. Otherwise, he's been in a handful of little things. His main friend, uh, is Neil, right? He's the little blue dude with the like elephant trunk. Um,
Arguably a new fan
he
favorite.
he actually, I think just made his big debut, or at least personally, I think it's his big debut. He's been in a handful of little things. But Dear Santa just came out a couple weeks ago with Jack Black,
Is he the main
and
character?
he is the main character in that movie.
Wow. I
He's the main little boy in that movie.
did not know that. And that was a good movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. That was on, what was that? I think that was on Paramount.
Paramount.
If you ever want to watch that, just came out a couple weeks ago. The two girls that he meets later, they're in my background here. We've got KB, which is this one. She didn't really have a whole lot of background, a couple really small things here or there, nothing that I thought was really noteworthy. So she's kind of fresh to the acting world. And then lastly, we have Fern. And Jeremy, you will recognize her from American Horror Story. She was in 6 episodes when they were in like the vampire town. She was the dad was the writer, and then he had a violinist daughter who became a vampire because if you became a vampire,
Um,
you got to be like really good at whatever you were doing and extremely talented.
the
So
hotel
she
season?
no, this was on like a vacation town.
Oh, was that the one that was talking about um HIVs and stuff?
Nope.
Nope.
Um,
Oh, swing and a miss. Strike two.
let's see. This was she was in 2021. So that was in
Pretty
season
recent.
10, double feature.
Oh, I
Right, so
remember
the
the
first,
alien one, but
yep, so not that one, but Red Tide, where the family goes to like this vacation town, but it's not during vacation season, and everybody keeps randomly dying. And come to find out, it's because a lot of writers go to that town, because if you take this
oh
special
yeah,
medicine, you get super talented, but then you crave blood, so you kind of become a vampire. But
I
then you're really
remember.
famous because you're talented.
Now I remember.
So
Yep.
Fern, this girl, she was one of the main leads in that season of American Horror Story. And she's been in a handful of other things too. She was in the movie Firestarter. I don't personally know that movie, but she is was even in some other leads.
Firestarter was the remake Stephen King film, I believe.
She was Charlie McGee in that. I don't know if that's the main character or not. But anyway, so those are kind of the main things that I think she would be known for. So we've got kind of a good mix of kids that are just making their debut, kids that have some good background, and then some that are just starting out, I think, with only a handful of like really minor roles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then most importantly, they're working with John Watts directing. So I think he's kind of known for working with younger actors.
Nice. So let's see. Uh, as far as what we learn about these characters, they are the all the kids are in school, right? And there's this big test coming up, where I guess basically you take your test and it tells you what you're gonna do for the rest of your life. Uh, was it Win? You said his name was
Whim.
Wim. So Wim, his dad is kind of out of the picture in a way. He, as soon as they wake up in the, I want to say, is it the morning or a week or what? But basically, he is gone from the morning till night, and Wim is very, very much on his own for his life. His dad gives him his lunch money for the week, and then that arguably the extent to what he sees him throughout the week, just because his dad is working so much. Um, Neil has what I would say the picture perfect family. I know when Wim drives by, he sees Neil's family, all cuddling together and happy to see each other when he gets home. Um, let's see,
He's probably the
Fern.
one that misses home the most when they're gone.
Yeah,
Neil,
homesick.
yeah, he misses the warm embrace of his family.
Fern, I mean, she's kind of um, I
A
would say,
rebel,
yeah, rebel. That's a better word for it. I was gonna say like bad kid, but that's not it. Rebel. She's kind of a rebel. She sneaks around a little bit. Her mom is a little protective slash hovering of her, I would say. And yeah,
Suspicious.
she's like
did
the politician lady,
right. Did
the
we get much for?
undersecretary, whatever that means.
Yeah, I didn't know too much about that. What I did pick up from, reading and watching other things is that that's a position that was talked more about in the Old Republic, or the High Republic, I should say. Disney's new era, the era of the
Hmm.
Acolyte. And so there's wonder if there's something going on there, especially with the currency that they're using. Um, we'll talk about that a little bit more once we get to episode two. But on episode one, this is the day of the test, and misses the bus, and he on his way on his little speeder bike on his way to school, he finds this little thing in the ground, so to speak. It looks
Like a
like a
hatch.
door, and he believes it's like an old Jedi temple. And even though he's telling people, "Hey, I found this thing," they don't really believe him. And it really depends on the person he's talking to if he's going to tell the truth about it or not. Because I think he was saying to his friends, "Hey, there's this thing." There's an adult or two that he said it to, but they don't believe him, and so he's kind of picking and choosing who he's talking to. Um, but he gets like quote unquote grounded, and he goes
Well,
out and he. Hmm?
it seems that the town doesn't really respect the Jedi or doesn't believe that they're real or, they don't really have a strong following for the Jedi here at this time.
Well, we also got this like weird thing that's going on where the people they're all like monitored by droids. Like there isn't really some what I get is there's not a lot of like people like government organizing the people of this planet. It seems like they're all being controlled by like Tesla robots essentially.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's like an overarching governing body that's
Right.
like making all the laws.
There's
Seems
even
like
a
they kind of
curfew.
just have all their systems and their droids run the systems, and they had cars connected to wires that run on like a tram. Like it's a very strange planet. They have a barrier over the planet, maybe to hide the planet. We don't really know yet.
No ships leave or come
Right.
in.
We didn't see a lot of ships, any ships at
Well,
all.
based on what we find out in episode two, I would think they're very hidden. So we kind of find out, I'm going to skip ahead to what I'm talking about here just because it relates to this. But when the kids are lost after they take off on the ship and they're trying to find their way home, they find out from these people that they're asking for directions. They say they're trying to get to At Aden. And these people are like, "You're crazy. That place doesn't exist. It's a myth. It's a place, what do they call it? Like a place where you can get anything you want or something like that."
Yeah, I think one of them maybe says like it's like a treasure planet or it's a planet of myth, something like that.
Which, even though it looked like a well put together society, I don't know how much treasure I would really say is there based on what we've seen.
But I mean,
Yeah,
that's the power of a myth, right? Some of it's true and some of it's not.
Yeah. Well, so to kind of echo what Sarah said, the kids end up trying to investigate what this hole in the ground is. We get some, kid bantering back and forth between the guys and the girls of who gets to claim this thing, and eventually they make their way into it, and they come across the droid character SM-33, also known as Shmi, which is kind of a funny little tongue-in-cheek thing to Peter Pan, because Shmi is the captain's hand essentially for that. And before they actually like take off, um, he's looking for the captain, and it's the girl goes, "I'm the captain," and so he now believes that she is the captain, and the again kids scuffling around, "Oh, I should have been the captain," blah, blah, blah. And they have their little spat about that. But um, it's interesting because it makes me wonder how long Shmi has been, off. Who is his captain? Who was the captain?
yeah, I'm really hoping that we get to find out more about the former owners of the ship. We do see that they perished on this ship. There's a couple of skeletons left over.
I
Um,
could be wrong, but what the shot of the skeleton with like the stop motion thing, isn't that did that happen in the Goonies?
They had a
uh,
similar shot. I couldn't tell you if it was the same, but
I
there was
mean,
definitely a spot where one of the kids got spooked by a skeleton.
they're definitely like paying homage to that movie and like that era of movies.
Right. I just feel like that
Um,
was kind of like a Easter egg shot of one of those movies from back when.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I thought
Um,
the ship was the cargo ship that was being invaded at the very beginning.
oh, you thought the ship they found was like that ship?
That's kind of what I was wondering, yeah.
Hmm, I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like it's a different one. It seems very old.
Although I guess that wouldn't necessarily make sense with Smee saying that, they're pirates and whatnot, because that wasn't a pirate ship. That was like a regular cargo ship that got attacked by pirates.
Right. Yeah, so they must be different ones. Yeah, this seems like an ancient ship that was like maybe it was on their, maybe their planet is rich in resources or minerals or something. And maybe that ship was there looking for treasures of some kind. We don't really know. Hopefully
Yeah,
we get to find out something about it.
part of the big mystery going on. Uh, they take off into space, and that's basically the end of episode one. So,
Women, his sticky fingers.
He just
Gotta
has
so
that
touch
need
everything.
to push the glowing button. It just was calling out to him.
well, I mean, to be fair, when they got there, he didn't say that he claimed the ship fast enough. When they saw the droid, he didn't, you know,
Mm-hmm.
say anything fast enough. So this is maybe his opportunity to be like, "Oh, I pushed the button." I don't know.
I got the ship started.
Yeah,
Well, and of all the kids, he's definitely the one wanting adventure the most.
kind
Yeah,
of weird.
he has courage for sure.
Was the ship on some sort of weird autopilot?
It seemed like it was in some type of hibernation mode, and then when he hit that button, it did it
It piloted them to kind
immediately
of the middle of
take them into
space, didn't it?
hyperspace? Yeah, it did, right? So maybe that was like I don't know, some sort of reset button to take them back to a disclosed, like a certain, predetermined location.
So, I mean, just kind of spitballing here, it makes me wonder, like, if that planet at some point, they had some valuable things on there. Well, if there was maybe a ship in orbit that they brought the resources back and forth from, maybe if they pushed the button where the ship went is where it would normally dock. Like, I'm just trying to make heads or tails of why it would go to that one spot based off
Yeah.
of
Right,
some sort of autopilot function.
right. So, yeah, it does seem like a pretty drastic thing to happen from him hitting one switch, one button on the console.
Right. Let's see. Episode two, they're working with Shmi and they go to basically uh, a place where it's just loaded with pirates. Uh, one would argue to say it's a place of scum and villainy, just like the cantina from Tatooine. And it's not only filled with pirates. The kids are trying to. What are they there for to actually find? You guys remember?
They wanted directions back home. Shmi wasn't very helpful, and he said that he could take them to like a docking bay or something like that, some sort of a station. He didn't say it was a pirate station. He just said it was, a place he knew that they
A
could go to
spaceport.
ask.
Right.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And then what gets everything in motion? What happens here?
They kind of split up, right? They're looking for directions, and then the boys end up ordering some food from the bartender, and then I think the
Wim's
girls
credits are
start
really
asking
suspicious.
questions. Yeah, they end up paying for the food, and they pay with a little bit too much money, so the bartender tries to scam them, and then the pirates.
I think the issue is that it's a currency they haven't seen before, or they haven't seen in a really long time that's like extra valuable.
I'm pretty sure it was
Yeah,
an outdated currency that was like from the. That's why I think this is tied to the High Republic. I think they said either Old or High Republic when they were referencing that currency.
yeah. It seems like it's a currency they're not familiar with, so it might be quite valuable. So now they're trying to track their kids either back to where they're from or at least get the rest of the money that they have on them. So the kids start running out of there. They cause a little distraction.
They
They
try to get
almost got
away.
away.
Yeah, even Shmi comes out to try to, bust some heads, and he's even got the little rat thing that is hibernating in his head and whatnot, poking out every now and then. But they do get overpowered. They get taken into custody, thrown into a little prison cell. And then this is where we finally meet our probably, my guess, is the last main character of the group, which is Jude Law's character. I think his name was Jod. Yeah.
I think so.
And so he's kind of like this dude in the shadows of the cell. The kids are, they're trying to talk to a little thing saying, "Hey, give us the key." And the thing isn't complying with them. And so when this hooded figure comes out of the shadows, we see the key dance a little bit and then levitate to his hand. And one thing we haven't mentioned is that Wim, it's like it's his dream to become a Jedi, essentially, because he's always looking at his like school pad or whatever you want to call that, and looking at different things of Jedi. And so when they see this, he's kind of wondering if he's a Jedi, and um, he doesn't deny nor confirm. So that's for us to wait and see.
Can you keep a secret?
Right.
Who is your favorite character of who we've met so far?
My favorite character is Brutus, which is the werewolf.
Okay, let me rephrase. Of the main characters, like just the kids.
Okay. Neil.
Neil,
It's got to
what
be
about you,
Neil,
Austin?
right? It's got to be Neil. It's a pain in the trunk.
I love it. I would say
When he's
Wim.
complaining about his math homework, it was hilarious.
Wim gets into trouble, but it's his chaotic energy that I don't know, I love it.
Yeah, no, I think all the kids are pretty likable. Like the even Fern, like her being kind of like she's kind of telling tall tales, right? She's saying, "Oh yeah, they're if you misbehave, they're gonna send you down to the mines in the planet." So maybe that's where they keep the highly valuable resources of the planet. So maybe there's actually something to it. But I don't know. She's kind of spinning stories, and she tricked the boys into digging out the ship, kind of, at
Yeah.
least the hatch.
I'm dying to know what KB sees with that visor.
Yeah, I do want to see a KB vision and see what that looks like, or what it does. It kind of just seems like it does whatever the plot demands at this point, but we'll see. It's only been 2 episodes.
Well, it's weird. You would think that it would be something that she puts on to like get more information, but
Hmm.
she's wearing it almost all the time and takes it off it's almost like she takes it off whenever somebody would put their glasses on to see better. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, one thing I noticed from the first episode is when those like bullies pulled up, she went from like not having it on to like she put it on. So I don't know. It seemed like she's putting up like a wall, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So
Maybe I'm thinking too deep.
we know the time frame. It is post Empire, and the New Republic is being built, and so this puts us after Episode 6, kind of in that like Mandalorian time frame.
Yeah.
So with this planet being like very cut off from everything else, I mean, clearly they're using even old currency. I'm sure they don't even know what a Republic credit is or Imperial credits. Do you think that they even know about what's been going on all these years?
I'm gonna say no, but I'm basing that off of how much of a suburbia vibe this show has given us so far. Just very classic neighborhood, not like any kind of Star Wars village we've really seen before. It almost seems like a regular human village. But I will say too, I just thought of this, we've seen some new creatures that I think have been pretty fun. There's none that I can think of to like name specifically. I just remember seeing like some new species. I was like, oh, that's a looking one.
Yeah, the characters are very diverse, even if they're important or not, like main characters. There's a lot of kids, like when they were showing the scene of when everybody takes the test, there was a good handful of like just different species that were in the background that we're not used to seeing. Um, Lost my train of thought. I was going to say something in relation to something else, but
The characters of the school or the diversity of the aliens?
no, it was right before.
Do you think that they're aware of what's going on outside of their planet?
Part of me thinks that they aren't. Um, with oh, I know what I was gonna say now. Like the
The
way you were
stars.
talking about how the neighborhood is very much like suburbia, it gives me a lot of vibes of like those shows that you see where it's like the perfect American family, kind of like the beginning of the Fallout show where everything is like a perfect American family
Or
and
WandaVision?
yeah, or WandaVision. And so during those types of shows, I always kind of feel like there's this element of control over those neighborhoods. And I kind of wonder if that's kind of going hand in hand with this whole robot situation. Like, is that why the neighborhood looks this way? Is because it's, kind of set up to have the controlling element of everything around them.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they have, a system, like seems kind of like a little bit communist, like everyone's going to be an analyst or a person of high society and run our job that we're gonna drop you into your role for the rest of your life.
When you're like
And
9 or 10 years old.
right, like
And that stuff isn't even
it's
accurate. I will tell you, I took that we when I was in school, we had that
mhm.
thing, and then it kind of tried to push you in a direction for when you go to college. My like number two or number three was to be a nanny, and that's not me. I would never, I couldn't do that. So
It's just an idea.
yeah, I was the
Jeremy's
statistic.
over there with the red lightsaber, like, where are the younglings?
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, these kids they have somewhat of an idea what they want to do with their life, but they're still figuring it out. They know they want adventure,
A
and
couple of
we'll see
the
if our new maybe Jedi friend can help.
see, that's what's kind of what I'm looking forward to seeing is what actually is he? What I do know he probably isn't, and for some reason Google thought he was. When I typed in skeleton crew, there's like these things up top that are saying like, oh, this is Wim. Do you want to click on him and see more pictures? Blah blah blah. And that character, they said it was Boba Fett, and I was like, I don't think that's Boba Fett for 1 second. But um, I'm curious to see if he ends up being. Jedi? Is he like an undercover dark side user of some form? Was he like a follower or is he a worshiper of Palpatine from the past? I don't know. But I'm curious to see where that goes.
Yeah. My
Something tells me
personal
there's more to
opinion,
it.
that
Hmm?
was the wobbliest looking force float of any object I've ever seen in any Star Wars project.
He's rusty.
So I think he's a fraud.
See what
But
I was hoping what was gonna happen was that he was gonna do that, but the key was gonna go to Wim, and they were gonna say that there was like the kids were gonna believe because he is like obsessed to become a Jedi that he had some sort of connection, but us as the viewers know that it was the other guy doing it, and so there would have been some of this like false um, beliefs that the kids have of what's really going on. I thought that would have been kind of an interesting twist.
well, I think that's kind of where it's going, right? Because they're gonna think that he's a Jedi after this, and we'll probably find out towards the end of the season that maybe he's not what we think.
Do you think he's kind of like the one dude from Kenobi that was taking people's money?
I don't even remember what guy you're talking about, to
He's
be
a
honest.
famous comedic actor. I don't know his name though.
Okay. Oh,
He
yeah,
was promising people
the
safe
fake Jedi
voyage.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he was doing all the
No. I
tricks.
think this guy's an opportunist. I think he heard the kids talking about money. I think he heard them talk about we got to get to our ship. And I think he was like around the corner. I think he heard every word they said. And I think he was like, okay, well, time to pull a fast one on these kids real quick and they're going to help me break out of here. So I
That
think
sounds
he's
an
just
awful
like,
lot like when Finn and Rose were in jail and suddenly somebody appeared to help them.
yeah, yeah, it's not too far off. But this character, I think we will like more than that guy.
Yeah.
Well, being that he's on like the main cover of the poster, I think he's going to have a bigger role than what that character did with helping Finn and Rose, because his role was pretty short.
Yeah. This guy, I liked him in the Guardians movies and Marvel. He was pretty good.
Who was he?
He was like a villain guy. I don't even.
I looked him up before we did this, and I recognized him from the Fantastic Beasts movie. He was Dumbledore,
He was Dumbledore?
Jude Law's character, like the young Dumbledore, not the
Yeah.
old one.
I'm not seeing him as being in Guardians.
Is he not? I swear he was in something Marvel. Well, shoot. Maybe I got him mixed up with someone else.
There was another movie I saw that he was
He
in.
was in Captain Marvel.
Bingo. Captain Marvel. Yeah, he's like one of the Kree people. He like plays like the high. I only saw that movie once or twice. Like I don't know how it made $1 billion. Sorry, I didn't mean to flame Captain Marvel out of nowhere. They're catching strays.
No worries. Um, so, we've had a couple of other Star Wars shows come out recently. Where's the hype for you guys? Are you guys like totally on board? Are you cautious about it being what we've had the last couple of shows? Where are you at?
I think it's just a fun Star Wars show. The Star Wars aspect of it hasn't been real strong. I think it's been a lot more like your typical kids adventure type, suburbia type, family drama show, which I actually really like those types of shows. So for me, this is clicking pretty well. I am curious to see and excited to see, once we get more into the Star Wars realm. And I guess what I mean by that is more of like the Jedi type stuff. Just because, we've had some Star Wars elements along the way with droids and pirates and all those things, but uh it hasn't felt super Star Warsy as it has just felt like sci-fi. Um, and I don't know if it's just that they're not trying hard enough, but there's a caveat to that is I feel like that's a good thing because I almost feel like we've tried too hard and that's why we've been missing the mark. And so I don't know, I think it's fun and I'm excited to watch more.
Yeah, I think they got caught in this weird thing where they were trying to make their own Star Wars stories that were disconnected from the old Star Wars stories. Yet that's impossible to do because there's some aspects that you're always going to have to incorporate to the story, such as the Force and I mean you don't have to include lightsabers, but there's going to be blasters, probably weapons of some kind at some point in the show. There's just certain elements the show's going to have. The ships, the space travel, that kind of stuff. So I think it is hitting some keynotes for me. Like they're doing a lot of stuff very well. It is more of like a kids show, which is fine. I think all the kids are doing well so far. I think they're all really likable. I think what limited couple scenes we've got from Jude Law's character, I think he's pretty likable so far, even if he's playing kind of a sleazy guy. But I think these kids are going to kind of force him to do a little bit of good. on his path wherever they may go. So I think that might, I don't know, I just think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to see what bad he gets the kids up to and what good they get him up to and vice.
One of
Yeah.
the things that I really like about this show too is just the pure chaos. It seems like nothing is going according to how it's supposed to be, and that kind of is in line with how we started the show. Not so much the pirate scene, but like, in the suburbia town, and it's all very structured. Something's got to break the camel's back, and this show has gone completely, one wrong turn after another ever since then. And I don't know, I really like that.
Yeah, that's actually kind of part of how I feel about the show. Like when I first heard about Skeleton Crew and they said, it's going to be reflective of the Goonies, but in the Star Wars universe, I was like, well, that's great, but what are you going to do to make it unique, right? And so I really like this idea that, they're a part of a planet that appears to be a myth to people, and the planet has so much mystery surrounding it with it's like the perfect society, but nobody can come in and nobody goes out. And I'm just curious to see where it ends up going because, you know, it's a huge mystery, when they start interacting with people, like if they have been secluded from the galaxy and they don't know what's been going on, well, that could become a shocker, right? Wim wants to be a Jedi, and if he finds out that, there was once this, the Jedi used to be huge in population and then they were just slaughtered, that could be a concern, right? And so I'm very curious to see if we're gonna end up witnessing some sort of like realization of the society that they're in isn't as great as they probably see it is. Like they're gonna end up feeling controlled in a way, and just kind of how they react to that. And I'm hoping we see that, or at least see, why is this planet considered a myth and so removed from the galaxy.
I think only Wim would really care about that. And I say that because uh, Fern has this like sense of being rebellious, like we talked about earlier. But anytime there's like a chance to do something that's like extra rebellious, she's not for it. She just wants to get away with just enough that to feel a little dangerous. Whereas Wim, he doesn't care at all. And I think that kind of goes with his name too, is he's going out on a whim to do whatever he wants. Okay, now I'm grasping at straws here, but I still thought it worked.
Works. It works. Yeah, Wim is very adventurous. Um, oh, that's where I was going with this. Do you guys think going forward we're gonna just stick with the kids' adventure, or do you think we're gonna cut back and have scenes back on the planet with Adin, with Wim's father, and the droids, and whoever's in charge of the droids? Like, do you think they're gonna conduct an investigation to try to find the kids?
I
Like,
kind
where
of
do we
hope we
think
do.
this is going?
I kind of hope we do because then we maybe that's our angle as the audience to kind of see what's really going on here, and why there's basically droids running the place,
Hmm.
and who's in control of them? Who's the one that's in charge of this? It's because my guess is it's not 100% controlled by a droid. I bet there's somebody at the top. Who might it be?
Yeah, my thing is if everyone's, they're all part of this great work, as they say, what is that great work contributing to? Like, is this all funneling resources into the pockets of, Palpatine, or what's going on here?
I
Um,
don't know.
I'm excited to find out more about the planet.
One of the theories that I heard, and again, I'm just bringing it up because I think it's neat. I don't know if it's actually going to be it, but I read online that somebody had wondered if this is kind of the beginning of the First Order, where they're like raising their people internally to, have buy-in to it, and maybe that's how it kicks off. Especially, with telling the children this is what you're going to do the rest of your life, and there's a sense of that control, so then they just kind of listen to whoever's calling the shots. But that one could be far-fetched, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, that's a fun theory.
So I when we were watching this and they kept saying the planet name at Aten. I was telling Sarah, I said, is this kind of a way for those people that believe it's pronounced at instead of AT to kind of just get people to say it all the time? What do you think, Austin?
Maybe. Um,
I thought it was slightly annoying once I made that connection. I was like, oh,
like
you people.
it could be, but I think people are probably gonna call the walkers the same thing they always call them.
Yeah, I'm not calling it at, it's AT.
Yeah, I
Before
think that
meeting
just
Jeremy,
sounds
that's what I
better.
called them.
It's all about the phonetics.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about for Skeleton Crew? Anything else you think is worth noting?
I only have one thing, and that is just a wish list. And that is that I hope that we get to see Hondo
Mm,
from Star Wars Rebels.
yeah, that would be
Because
cool.
that pirate is 10 out of 10.
Arguably one of their most famous pirates from Star Wars. Especially, isn't he Disney Star Wars or was he a character pre-Disney?
I think he was Disney because I think Rebels was after the buyout.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I'm trying to think now, what character would I like to see pop up? That would make sense, right? Because I think Hondo makes perfect sense. My only, well, nah, I was gonna say Lando or something because he's kind of in that scummy world, but I don't think he would. I think at this point he's very much trying to be a part of the New Republic and working with Han and all them. So
Any alien species that haven't come up for you?
honestly, I'm more excited to see this guy,
Yeah.
Brutus.
Did you like the little ferry driver?
He was cute.
Oh, the Teak guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool callback to, at least I think that's the same species, but yeah, I think that's a cool callback. There's a lot of small Easter eggs in this show already, where if you know some of the old stuff that surrounded Star Wars, like Holiday Special, the Battle for Endor, um, what was the other one? Sarah, do you remember? It was the first
Mm.
Ewok movie, because Battle for Endor is the second one, the one that we actually see Teak in.
The Caravan of Courage.
There you go. Yeah. So like all these different shows, if you'd seen them before, you kind of know what's going on here with these little background things, but um, I think it's really cool. I'm excited to see if they keep that up the rest of the way. All right. Well, that was our discussion on the first two episodes of Skeleton Crew. I think it's a breath of fresh air that all three of us are at least excited to keep watching it. I know for the recent show of The Acolyte, we were kind of iffy going through the show. I even would even go on to say Mando season three, we were a little bit iffy going through. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this goes, what characters we might see, and just what mysteries we get solved. So, if you enjoy this type of video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Drops a like if you like the video, and drops a comment letting us know your thoughts on the first two episodes of Skeleton Crew. And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.